Hello, my name is Matthew, and last night I read The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe. And the reason that I read it was that I was watching one of my very favorite television shows. And if you watch my channel, you might know that one of my favorite um, television sitcoms is The Andy Griffith Show. But one of my favorite dramas to watch is Columbo. And if you're not familiar, Columbo is a murder mystery um, TV program that began in the 1970s, ran, I believe, into the 90s. And it stars Lieutenant Columbo, played by Peter Falk. And he is a homicide detective in, I believe, LA County. He has a few trademark characteristics. His rumpled, disheveled appearance, cigar always at hand. He's always smoking cigars, and his raincoat. So this is a man that wore a raincoat every day in sunny California. Gives you sort of an idea of what his worldview might be. One of the most interesting things about the show is that, unlike a lot of murder mysteries, um, the first third act, um, you see the murder committed, and you know who did it, and you know basically why they did it. Columbo, the detective, Lieutenant Columbo, doesn't show up usually until 20 or 30 minutes into the program. So it's not a whodunit. Instead, it's Columbo trying to figure out all the clues and characters, and solving the murder. But the viewer knows who did it, and the suspense is, how is Columbo going to figure it out? And most of the perpetrators, or the murderer, usually they're wealthy, well-to-do, sometimes very, very smart or talented or successful or famous. And Columbo, like I said, always seems very confused. But you learn very quickly, if you watch the program, not only how sharp he is, but how sharp everybody knows that he is. When he interacts with other police officers, they are very interested in what he's doing, although they don't understand what he's doing. They're respectful. When he gets sent out on a crime, you'll hear little clues that he's the best homicide detective. Now, when there's a murder and he's talking to all of the different suspects, there's a great moment. Almost in the show's very formulaic. There's a great moment through these succession of dialogues where the suspect realizes that this confused, rumpled, seemingly clueless man really knows what's going on. And so there's this great tension between somebody trying to get away with murder and learning that Columbo knows that they committed the crime, but he can't prove it. So you've seen, as the viewer, you've seen how it was done. And so, what have you seen that could prove that the murder had been committed? It's great. And last night I got to watch one of my favorite episodes of Columbo, and it's about uh, two half brothers that are running. What do you call it? Oh gosh, a vineyard, and they had gotten an inheritance where one brother got all the money, and the other brother, or one brother got the business, and the other brother was inherited the land. And the brother that inherited the business, instead of trying to make lots and lots of money, wanted to make the highest quality wine that he could possibly make, and it was prohibitively expensive to make boatloads of money. Well, the one brother that had ownership of the land decides that he's going to sell it and ruin the company. And so not only does the brother that runs the company hits him over the head, the person that was going to sell the land, and he drags him into his crypt, his wine cellar. And while he's alive, he ties him up, he turns off the ventilation system, shuts the doors, and leaves him to die. It's one of the most grim murders that had been committed in the show that I've seen. I haven't seen all of them. And when Columbo shows up to talk to the one brother, the murderer, and they're going down into the wine cellar, Columbo even says, this is like that Edgar Allan Poe story. I always have trouble pronouncing it. The Cask of Amontillado. So after I watched the show, which is great, I read the story, and without spoiling it too much, I'll say it's one of the most bleak, dark Edgar Allan Poe stories. It's about two men who drunkenly decide to go down into the depths of a crypt, a wine cellar, and get a bottle of Amontillado. And one of them has very different ideas on how this little trip is going to go. And they go down lower and lower, smaller and smaller crypts. They finally get to these rooms that are built with human remains, there's skulls and bones. At the very last crypt, one of the men irons the other one to the wall, and he brought masonry equipment with him. And while he's alive, he starts bricking it up in front of him, burying him alive. And the man that's tied up is screaming, "No, no, no, let me out," stuff like that. And when they're about to put the man's about to put the last brick in, the man that's buried alive goes, "Ha ha ha ha, ha ha ha, very funny, let me out now." And he's entombed forever. End of story. I'm not going to say why, because that's the main interest of why you'd read it. But that's the plot anyway. And it's eerie, dark, grim, ghastly, ghoulish, all those kinds of things. I know I spent most of the time talking about Columbo. I apologize for that if you're still watching at this point. But yeah, last night I got to watch one of my favorite shows, and then I read a scary bedtime story. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you would like